All right, we are recording. I am going to be obnoxious, and then we are going to go from there.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it, Jeremy.
All right, hold on. Okay. Welcome to another episode of Neuro FM. I am with Katherine Johnson, who legitimately is like the female version of the Dosakis, man. Like literally, the more I learn about her, the more interesting she becomes. She is a speaker. She is a coach. She is a positive intelligence facilitator. She is an award-winning athlete. I could go on and on and on, but for today's conversation, what she is also is a later in life ADHD diagnosis. And what I love about her, at least for this conversation, again, so much to love, but she's that successful, but also found neurodivergence was a reality in her life later, as most of us listening do. And I think that's one of the things I want to start us with. But first, how rude of me. Welcome, Katherine, to the podcast.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you. That was probably the best intro I've ever gotten to experience. So thank you.
Oh, you are too kind. You are too kind. But yeah, thank you for being here. And I am such a fan of your work when we look at it through the lens of how we got here. Right.
Hmm.
And I don't know the full story of at what part did ADHD enter the conversation.
Hmm.
So if it's cool, I'm simply gonna ask and listen because I don't want to be the guy who's like, well, what's your age? So we can be as vague as
Yeah,
possible.
no, no. Come on. I'm an open book.
Okay. So how old are you now?
All right. I'm almost 49,
Almost
48.
49,
Hmm.
40. Okay. So later 40s. With all of these accomplishments, did these happen pre-diagnosis, post, during? Help me understand that process.
Okay. Yeah, I think almost all of them occurred pre-diagnosis,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Um, And when I learned, right, when I actually learned, went through the process of meeting and doing the assessment and whatnot, it was during COVID in 2020. So 4 years ago. So I was 44,
Okay.
already a parent, single parent,
Oh, okay.
had been doing that for a while. That was kind of the structure of our family. And obviously, COVID was, for every family brought up,
Mm.
having kids at home and I was running my own business at the time and had been an entrepreneur, have had different chapters of my life, had been an educator, had worked in the private sector. Um, it, it was at one of those moments where I was like brought to my knees. Like it was a
Really?
tearful, yeah, like
Well, great.
tearful moment of uh, honestly saying to my therapist as an aside, like feeling like I was going crazy with piles of paper everywhere. Why am I always behind this? Why can't I just, the comparison of like, why can't I just have the stuff put away so I can feel calm? And I've got so many ideas in my head and trying to track it all. And I said, I just feel like I have ADHD and, in tears. And she said, wait. Let's explore that for a minute. Why did you say that? Have you even looked into that? And I was like, well, actually, about 10 years prior, when I was coming out of my divorce, I was meeting with a psychologist, no, psychiatrist, can never keep any of that straight, but the one who can prescribe medicine.
A
It's
mental
meeting
health
with,
professional.
yes, the one I was seeing at the time, you know, time blindness, a lot of the issues that were hard in our marriage, that caused, kind of acute tensions. She said, have you ever looked into ADD or any of the symptoms? And I was like, no, definitely not me. That's not me. And because I was looking at a track record of being high functioning, having these accomplishments, like I'd been a school teacher. I knew back what like the ADD kid was like thought of, whatever, all those biases. and also just an unwillingness to look at it. So 10 years before, it had been seeded and I had rejected it. And then when I actually spent time in 2020 looking at it, oh, I could just run down that little checklist and was like, tick, 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 and was like, oh my gosh. Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't want to cut you off. I just there's so much greatness there. I'm super curious of that 10-year span. Did you
Hmm.
completely just put in a box, shoved under the bed, or did it kind of peak up like a telltale heart? It ticked every now and then, or was it just like set and forget it? You didn't even think about it till COVID.
I think I tucked it away and like did not think about it.
Okay.
Um, which was a bit disastrous because
Mhm.
if I'd actually understood myself and understood neurodivergence, I could have supported myself so much more than having a neurotypical framework or ideal as I was starting a business,
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur, wearing all the different hats, which actually really suited me. And
Yeah.
to not understand that I was able to function in that space that needed adaptability, creativity, new ideas, connecting with people, like all of that was actually because it was well suited to my brain and the way I move through the world. Instead, anyway, you get what I'm saying?
I 100% I get what you're saying. And I think that's one of the reasons why I find and really wanted to connect over this was I look at someone like you who's massively successful, but also did it while having this diagnosis, whether it was known or unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And what we try to do quite often with the podcast, with NeuroFam, is to put as much shine on the letters, whether it's ADHD, ADD,
Mm-hmm.
autism, and try to remove the stigma. And I love that you've been so massively successful
Mm-hmm.
in light of this. What I'm curious is, and you mentioned a little bit of it, if you had known what you known then now, or vice versa, but I think
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, you'd have given yourself a lot more grace. Is there anything else that made sense? Is there anything else that you can take a deep breath, maybe a sigh of relief now knowing the way you are designed? And you can look back
Mm.
on certain things and go, ah, now this, like, have you had those moments?
Yes, so many of like, oh, this makes sense. It's that like self-awareness, like the understanding, being able to connect the dots. I love learning new things. I'm definitely a starter, not a
Mm.
finisher. So there's a lot of judgments around that for myself. But I love learning new things. If something grabs my attention, of course, I'm able to like hyper focus it or get a level, not mastery, but a level of mastery because, that's why I think I excelled in my athletic endeavors. Like
Yeah.
I put in and stuck with something that held my focus to a level that, other people would not. And so it wasn't like, oh, I just have a natural, I'm a prodigy or anything. It's like, no, I actually could stay hyper focused with it,
Yeah.
right? For years and years. And so when I lost that structure, understanding, oh, all of that, the structure of sports, the structure of, let's just say like a college environment, like all the things that have structure because I naturally resist structure and don't give it to myself, that I thrive when there's external structure that helps me focus on the things I want to focus on.
Yeah.
How to like replicate that because I think I really felt lost in a lot of adulthood
Mm.
when those external structures and it's like, hey, good luck, like create the life you want, be the person you want to be. And it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm a Tasmanian at devil and can't do the basic functioning. Like I know cognitively, um, I've achieved a lot of things. Why can't I put the mail away? Why can't I go through my mail? Why is making dinner every night so hard? Why can't I think of like a meal to make?
Right? It's those amazing things. You're like, I'm so competent, but also I forgot to buy stamps for the fifth grade girl.
Adulting is so hard. I just was like, oh, and I felt shame instead of being able to laugh about it, which I get so much pleasure now hanging out with other folks who have, ADHD and are like, not just embracing it, but able just to recognize and laugh about it to say, yeah, like why there are these like gaps. But hey, yeah, they
What
exist.
not just exist, but exist well, and we are getting stronger in number. And I like to look at it because I almost feel like there's a few different seasons in our lives when we have these diagnoses, and please only share as much as you feel
Hmm.
comfortable with. But you had a marriage, it didn't work. You're
Hmm.
in a relationship
It
now.
expired. It
It
expired.
expired. You have a relationship now, going
Yep.
pretty well, pretty awesome.
Yes, very.
How does the ADHD affect your relationships? What do you know now? And like looking back at that relationship and going, if I'd have known this then, I maybe wouldn't have done these things, or I could have communicated differently,
Hmm.
versus bringing that knowledge and thriving now in this current situation. Like how does the knowledge of ADHD affect your relationship?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. I mean, it's meaty. Okay. I'm gonna start with in the past, right? Because I think in both relationships, I'm partnered with someone who's neurotypical.
Mhm.
In the past, in my marriage, which was 10 years, so I was in the relationship 12 years, um, I my standard and my what I was comparing myself to was neurotypical.
Mm.
And so therefore, I actually shrunk
Mm.
in my marriage. I withdrew my own identity and how I operated because it was less than. It was not right. So it's kind of like the um my own sense of self. It's like I just kept fading and fading till really I felt like a ghost in my marriage.
Mm.
And I think it's because I overemphasize not understanding myself and accepting, the neurodivergence.
Yeah.
I just felt like everything I did was wrong and not good enough. Right. And I know I'm very sensitive around that idea that there can be shame in how we assess ourselves. And so another part of my story is when I went through the assessment, I really saw my son in it and was like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh. And so that started a process of helping him get diagnosed and seeing, that was part. So it was very important to me once I understood how shame can play a part that I didn't want my son to live with internalizing those same feelings just for being different in the world, right? So the way it's helped me in my current relationship is just again self-acceptance, but also knowing where it can sabotage, where there can be rubs with
Mhm.
someone who
Yeah.
is, and so let's just say like my relationship to time, that idea of it's either now or not now
Yeah.
is such a real thing. And being really upfront and letting people know, like, yes, I am trying to be respectful and honor like real targeted time dates of how we do things and meet up and when I'm there and whatnot. But man, that is a daily struggle for me in my life. Um, and for someone who is, neurotypical, like I know that can feel like a rub. Like, why can't you just get this?
Why can't you just put the mail away? You said you're going to do it better. Why do you keep having
Yeah.
stacks and stacks and stacks?
And so I'm with someone who's at a different place in their life and self-awareness. Whatever. So there's a lot of just being able to like let each other be, like let them be,
Yeah.
and not it being there's no problem, right? And I think
Yeah.
that starts with how I am showing up and understanding myself so that, I don't disappear.
No, well, I think that is there are two massive things that you said that I wanna double down on. One, you shrinking in the identity of the relationship.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of power knowing who you actually are, and like you said, and it's not positive, it's negative, it's just it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just these are how my letters affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to choose how I feel about it. And even if that's a bad effect, right? Like take time blindness,
Mm-hmm.
if you have 3 hours to waste, that's not a bad thing. If you have an hour, then maybe it is a bad thing, but so you're able to take the steps to make sure it doesn't affect things.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else that you said that I'd love to explore more about the relationship between you and your son and seeing the similarities. So, how has ADHD affected your parenting?
Mm-hmm. Um, it's I mean, one, I don't know if this is totally attributed to ADHD, but like I'm a pretty adaptable person, so flexible and wanting to like I can roll with things. I don't think I'm overly rigid or, so how that shows up, I think it makes me like I can be a great parent, right? Like I can really I have a lot of empathy, be there with my kids. They're very different, right? So recognizing each one of them for who they are and seeing them. Um, I think I think the piece that I've had to watch out for is not projecting, just because my experience with ADHD is one thing, of overly trying to tell my son like, oh, this, and I'm watching out for this, or hey, I get that because I feel this too. Where he's also at a time as a teenager where he's like, yeah, I don't want to be like my mom. Quit trying to
Ah,
relate to me where I think I'm being helpful.
yeah.
And we have to make space for him to have his own understanding and how does it show up in him and who he is. Um, learning through like positive intelligence, that mental fitness aspect is knowing where does my emotional regulation sit?
Mm,
What are my buttons that get pushed because of, through my own, neuroscience or neurobiology? Like, it's just greater awareness. Like one of the things I did that was really helpful after I was diagnosed, I was in Kaiser at the time with my medical care, and Kaiser did these group support groups around when you got diagnosed. So I did like 3 rounds of 12-week sessions during COVID, and I was meeting with people all at different stages of diagnoses and age and whatever, and it was so powerful. But those were about, great, you have it, but what are the tools, the ways you can combat it? How do you support yourself? And it was so much research. I mean, it was fascinating, MIT research on the brain, on neurodiversity, like all kinds of things. But it was really like, great, you have it. Um, how do you exist and get things done and support yourself?
yeah. Kind of the so what now what? Like, great. Welcome to the spectrum. What do you want the rest of your life to look like? I think it's amazing. I love that you mentioned some of the self-awareness, and I'm not going to be subtle about it. I will continue to advocate for diagnoses. I know there's a sect of people who want to minimalize the diagnosis as simply a label.
Hmm.
And I feel like if you have a clear liquid and you don't know if it's water or gasoline and you want to drink it, a label is not that bad. So I'm of the belief that a
Yeah.
label isn't that the problem. What you do emotionally with the label could be the issue. And
Yeah.
so I'm a huge advocate of knowing who you are. And if getting a diagnosis helps you understand who you are, then game on. You had mentioned, and that's the point I'm getting to about this, of knowing yourself so that when you parent or hang out with your children, you know what your triggers are.
Hmm.
And from my experience, once I knew I was on the spectrum and I knew I did suffer from hypersensitivity,
Yeah.
it helped me not be upset with my children as much. Like I'll never forget pre-diagnosis, my daughter's first talent competition, she crushed it. And all I wanted to do was support her, give her a high five, give her the rose I had gotten her. And all she wanted to do was hang out with her friends. And it absolutely broke
Hmm.
my heart because
Hmm.
she was in Nashville, she was singing. I used to be in Nashville performing, Nashville recording artist, and it was like we were going to have a moment and we didn't.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me for a while. But now that I have the diagnosis to know that, okay, I do have tendency for hypersensitivity. When something like that happens again, which it always happens now, because
Yeah.
what 9-year-old would rather not hang out with their friends than you, right? Like,
Totally.
but when my daughter wants to hang out with her theater friends after the show and be at their table instead of our table for dinner, like now I know I'm
Hmm.
prone to take that sensitively, but I don't have to because I know that's not her intention.
Yeah.
And so it sounds in a similar manner because you know how your letters affect you.
Hmm.
You're able to be ahead of the thing so that you can
Hmm.
have a better relationship with your kids or with your partner.
I mean, I try.
Right. Well,
I try. It is helpful for sure. It's a work in progress, but yes, yes.
you and I are both a bit older, so we will say we are bringing to life the reality that G.I. Joe tried to teach us, which is that knowing is half the battle.
Yeah,
So if it was right in the 80s, it must be right now, right? Like
totally.
the wisdom of Mr. T and G.I. Joe still continues on that many decades later. Speaking of wisdom,
Yes.
what what does your future look like now that you have this diagnosis? Now that you're able to go, you know what? This is me. It
Hmm.
doesn't define me, but it still is a part of me. How does it affect your outlook for the future?
You know, I don't exactly know, and for me, that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of it.
Right?
Um, I like to think there's like great possibilities, and I love to be surprised and in awe of life and like what happens. Like that's partially how I approach it. Um, I've got to believe that there's a lot of room for just that self-acceptance of new chapters because I mean, I'm in an in a stage with my kids, like they're going to be moving from high school to whatever that next stage is, which may be out of the house. It may be, hopefully not, leaving our town or, our region, whatever. But I don't know what life is going to look like then. And so it's just a matter of self-acceptance to navigate that with whatever feelings, whatever tools I need, and to evolve and adapt to it, which
Mhm.
I think my letters give me a good like, yeah, we're pretty good, I think, at evolving and adapting. But it's got to be interesting, and I got to have I got to have some dopamine from it. That's for sure. Find me some dopamine.
Fair, that's fair. But for me, the hope that my diagnosis gives me is for the rest of my life, I at least have an advantage of knowing what I need to do to put myself in a place to succeed.
Oh, that's well said. Okay, I want that answer.
You brought it out of me, so by proxy, it's your answer as well. But no, but like, seriously, like looking back at all the times I failed as an adult, I can see it wasn't the right fit. It was a situation that I was processing through. Jeremy as the neurotypical. Jeremy, the perceived
Hmm.
neurotypical, is smart, competent. He should be able to figure this out. And maybe he just can't. Maybe he
Hmm.
shouldn't be doing the counter at Southwest Airlines. Maybe like that's not the right job for a Jeremy kind of individual.
Yeah.
But there are certain attributes that autism gives me that is really good. And if I could put myself in a situation where problem solving and critical thinking and systemization and
Hmm.
rituals are appreciated, well, then I know, like, well, then let's put myself in those situations.
Yeah.
Even going down to like my kids, I might not be the best coach to talk to the children, but you want to talk about systems. Maybe I'll just be the systems coach because that falls
Mm.
into my skill set. So I can still participate, but do it in a way that everyone wins. So for me, the benefit was for the rest of my life, I know how to put myself in a situation to succeed. So great answer. I'm glad you brought that out of me.
Yep. Ditto. Ditto.
Awesome. So closing thoughts. Any
Yes.
any last thing you would like to share with our listeners? And this is designed to be open-ended. Is there anything
Hmm.
on your mind that you want the audience to know, whether it's about the diagnosis, parenting, relationships, not shrinking, becoming your best self, being awesome like you? Like, what, any other thoughts?
Um, yeah, the only thing that is like sticking with me that I didn't share as part of it that I want other people to take away is like it actually took me doing some advocating
Mm,
because when I took that step to go, go to Kaiser and say, "Hey, I'd like to my primary is like, no, no, I'm not going to refer you to get assessed or, go through the evaluation." And I found a place in me that was like, "No, listen, I've lived 44 years this way, and I need to understand if this is something or not. I don't care if you think it's like the trend or it's the this, whatever." She was so dismissive.
mm,
And I was also like, I will never see that doctor again. So she did give me the referral. The psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever, was very much like, yes, he came alongside me. He was so wonderful. He really explained things. He saw it. And I was like, I will never see that doctor again because she tried to dismiss me and not let me have this gift of awareness to just know or not know. You know what I mean?
yeah.
What role is it playing potentially? And it's unlocked so much for me. So I want other people just to know that like, don't take no for an answer. If you want to find out, if you want to get assessed, like ask for it, demand it.
Yeah, no, I will absolutely echo that, and I appreciate that as a closing thought. We are huge advocates of knowing and
Yeah.
what do you do with it. And I think what I'm gonna take away from our time together is more affirmation about the positivity of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that information, how it opens and unlocks doors.
Totally. 100%.
Well, thank you so much. I'd say I appreciate all of this. I appreciate this for so many levels. I am smarter because of this conversation. I know that our listeners will be smarter, they'll be encouraged, they'll be inspired. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everything. If people want to get in contact with you to just tell you how awesome you are, is there a way they can reach out to you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, they can find me on LinkedIn or just that's probably the best way. Katherine
LinkedIn?
Johnson, look me up on LinkedIn.
You know, I have the technology to put that link in the show notes.
Oh, great.
So I will make that happen.
Do that. Great.
Listeners, if you are going through a potential diagnosis of ADHD or something else that you just want to connect with a really rad person about, or maybe you too are an award-winning athlete who are like, you know what, I miss those days. Let me connect with another awesome athlete. Or you're like, you know what, positive intelligence, I like that too. Like I said, she's the most interesting person I know. So Katherine Johnson, I will have all of her information via LinkedIn in the show notes. One last time, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I've so enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Thanks for listening to Neuro FM, everyone. Okay, I just cut the end anyway, so I'll stop recording.